All right, let's not pretend I'm professional or anything. So I'm honestly more excited about the Jets offense with uh, Zach Wilson than I am the Bills offense with Josh Allen. And let me explain. So Josh Allen had 4 turnovers, 3 picks, uh, 1 fumble, and another fumble that was recovered. And Zach Wilson didn't necessarily light the world on fire, but he doesn't need to. And the reason why I was down on Josh Allen last year is because he turned into a turnover machine, and he's still a turnover machine. Now there's a little bit to break down in this game to kind of explain why, like, I would be buying on Brees Hall, I would be buying on Garrett Wilson, because all I need to see out of Zach Wilson is that he can manage a game. Like he last year when he was playing, he didn't even look like an NFL caliber quarterback. What I saw in this game was a guy who improved. He looked more mature. And from a fantasy perspective, like, I don't care if the Bills are going to win the Super Bowl this year and Josh Allen is a turnover machine and they win the Super Bowl. I don't care if the Jets are a middling offense as long as the players that I have on the middling offense are putting up points in fantasy. Now, what this does for these two teams, well, Josh Allen needed to be a game manager. That's what Josh Allen needed to do, especially when Aaron Rodgers goes down. They can really just put pressure on the Jets by managing the football game and trying to choke the Jets out, make Zach Wilson make a play to lose the football game. Now, Zach Wilson did throw a pick. That pick we'll talk about here in a second because I just got done watching all the highlights. But Josh Allen just threw balls up. And he challenged guys. He said, I got a better arm. Sometimes you like that with the quarterback, sometimes you don't. This time, no. And he just did not look like he's reading through his progression. And we'll get to that in a second. And again, some of this stuff cycles down. The Jets are supposed to have a top 5 defense, this year. And, when they're going up against an offense that's good, you expect that even a good defense is going to look bad at certain points. And we saw that yesterday with what we thought was going to be a better Steelers defense against one of the best defenses in the 49ers, and the 49ers just look like they could win the Super Bowl with their defense alone. Now, in this game, when we're looking statistically at what's going on, like, we have 41 attempts against a team that's just going to take away the run. So the Jets take away the run, they force you to pass because that's what they're good at, and you're going to have a lower depth of target because they're going to force you to check everything down. None of this is particularly impressive, but again, unlike what Joe Burrow says he'll take a sack, Josh Allen will force the ball down the field, and that turns into 3 turnovers. And in a football game, when you're turning the football over, what it'll do is it'll slowly choke you to death. It'll put you in worse and worse situations. You can control the clock less, and you're just going to choke yourself to death. All those turnovers we see down here, the 2 fumbles, 1 lost, and he recovered his own. So, like, those things are just going to build up on the season. And from a fantasy perspective, if you're in a -2 points game, I actually had a guy in my league, and I shouldn't dox myself too much, but he almost won the game even though he had Aaron Rodgers in the lineup because Josh Allen kept turning the football over and he had the Jets defense. So, like, that's he was playing against Josh Allen. He had the Jets defense, and he went and almost won the game until what happened at the end. So anyway, the point being is you can't run a football team and be like this and then not be able to just grind clock when you need to grind clock. That's one of the problems with James Cook, is he's never going to be necessarily a grinder. I liked his usage. That's fine. But again, turnover machine bad. They're still looking like they're forcing too much to Stephon Diggs. I mean, like, 10.2 is not particularly great. And you have a guy like Josh Allen that's just going to dial in and grip it and rip it. And we'll talk about gripping and ripping it here in a second. Gabe Davis is going to be a big play guy. I like Dalton Kincaid. I saw a lot of 2 tight end stuff going on the field. He's basically their slot. They are mixing other guys in. Dalton Kincaid's a keeper. So talking about the Jets, this is the big thing to talk about the Jets. Brees Hall should have had a touchdown, but Garrett Wilson's a dumbass. So Zach Wilson, when you watch a football game, and there's a whole bunch of stuff to be breaking down and looking at while you're watching it, if you watch a quarterback get the football, drop back to pass, and when their back foot finally hits the ground 3, 5, 7, and they plan it, the ball should be coming out. And that means that while they were dropping, they're confirming what they saw pre-snap and the post-snap, and they're just getting it out. So when you see a guy like Zach Wilson, you'll take the snap, drop, hit that back foot, and the ball comes out. That means he's confirming what he saw. He's not playing around. He's just going where the football's supposed to go. Now, that's exactly what happened with this pick against Matt Milano, but Matt Milano's a good football player, and who knows what was going on the back end. I haven't seen the back end, so it's not necessarily a bad thing when it happens. I mean, guys are going to throw picks. They're going to get bad reads. It's the NFL. But watching all of his plays where he's just dropping back, hitting that back foot, the ball's coming out, that's awesome. And now it turns into the coaching staff for the Jets being able to say, hey, we have Breece Hall, we have Dalvin Cook, we have Garrett Wilson. Now what we have to do is we have to be good coaches, and we need to get the guys that are good the football so they can do good things because they're good at football. Now, and unlike last year with Zach Wilson, where it's like, well, we have Zach Wilson, he's bad at football, and it doesn't matter what we do, we're going to lose the game. Breece Hall, like now what makes this super awesome is Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson can be the focal point. You just want, believe this or not, in fantasy, you want great players on okay offenses to win you games, because now a team like the Jets, they can't rely on Aaron Rodgers doing Aaron Rodgers things. They have to rely on Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson winning them football games. That means you're going to get a lot more targets to going to Garrett Wilson. I don't care if they're intercepted. I just want them targeted. I want 15 targets like Puka Nacua going to a Garrett Wilson. I want Breece Hall to get 10 carries for 127 yards, and I want 10 targets to Breece Hall. The way that happens is when you have a lesser quarterback that just has to manage games, he has to get the ball where it's supposed to go and let these guys win the game, unlike him trying to win a game by throwing 3 picks and fumbling once. And this is what happens when you let a team that you're not supposed to beat you're not supposed to lose to hang around because you're not choking them to death. This is some of the stuff that happens in football. So this is why I'm excited. This is why I actually call up my co-manager and said, hey, like Breece Hall is a go now. I saw him on tape. Now they're going to lean on him. Garrett Wilson is not, he's not a downgrade. He's a buy, because they're going to have to get him the football. This is how they're going to win. They have to find better ways to get Garrett Wilson the football, and they have to trust Zach Wilson to not screw it up. Unlike last year, where if you ask a guy to do too much, then he has to make the plays like Josh Allen couldn't make tonight by trying to force everything. That's not what you want out of Zach Wilson. You want Zach Wilson to go, hey, smoke screen or quick slant, and just let these guys be better football players, and that's what you're probably going to get down the line. And with the Jets, here's the great thing about the Jets. Like, they have a good defense. They played a pretty good defense tonight. Chances are they're not going to get too many better defenses than the Bills. Like, they do play in a tough division. The Patriots defense is there. I haven't taken a quick look at their schedule, but like it can't get too much tougher than the Bills defense, because the Jets have one of the best defenses in football. They don't need a lot. They just need to give these 2-3 guys the ball a whole bunch. And then to break this down, so to understand the biggest difference between Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson, if you saw the touchdown throw that Aaron Rodgers had to Garrett Wilson at the end of the preseason, that was a design run that he just pulled it and threw it on a back shoulder fade. Zach Wilson tried to do a very similar throw, but he drifted it too far forward. So instead of Garrett Wilson being able to turn around, box out the defender, and make the catch, Garrett Wilson had to bat the ball back to himself. I mean, that's the biggest difference between, like, I shouldn't say the biggest difference. There's a lot of differences between the two, but like, to see that this is not me just saying, hey, he's okay. It's just the idea that like it makes sense that he's gotten better from this year to last year. And he went in cold, wasn't taking first team reps, and was able to do what was necessary to put his team in a position to win the game. That's all you want. And then you want to go buy, Breece Hall's 10 carries. Breece Hall had another two targets. That's going to go up as the season goes on. They're not going to be bad at football, just from what I saw of Zach Wilson. And, they have to get the ball more to their playmakers. They don't need to get them less. Aaron Rodgers isn't going to, work through progressions because he's not there. Zach Wilson has to get the ball where it's supposed to go, and he just has to be put in a position by his coaching staff to do that. So anyway, that's about all I got. And I don't know, maybe some other time.